This is Rightly Speaking. I'm Shannon Martin, um, here to give you my day's complaints. talk a little about what's Talk a little bit about what's going on in this crazy world. Um, so today it's what? Okay, it's November 3rd. So you know what that means, right? It's day 33 of the Schumer shutdown. Woo! Wave those flags, America. We have some great leaders on the Democratic side of our government, huh? I mean, this guy, he's not even, I don't get, he's not even really, I guess is considered the leader of the Democratic Party, although he's not doing a great job, and some people don't even acknowledge that he is the leader of the Democratic Party. Um, because Pelosi, I mean, it used to be Pelosi, but she just stays drunk all the time, basically. She's just out there. Um, but this guy, I mean, why are the Democrats that are in power now even listening to this guy? Does he look like someone you'd want to listen to? And he's always in a pissy mood, and he's always yelling about something. And he's causing our government to be shut down. And he's just an overall just crappy dude. I just don't like him. But I saw something this week that made me kind of feel a little bit bad for Chuck Schumer. And I didn't know that that was possible. Um, I ended up accidentally seeing a picture of his wife. Guys, if I had to go home to this every night, I'd probably be in a pissy mood all the time too, and very unhappy with my situation in life. Chuck Schumer married a dude. That is a dude. I mean, that has to be a dude, right? Surely. It's crazy. Look at it. So Schumer's wife is a dude. Who knew? So the talk right now about this shutdown, which, by the way, in 2 days we will have tied for the longest shutdown in history, which I think was in 2018. So that's good. Breaking records. Um, and everybody's up in a ruckus because they're not going to get their free food for this month, supposedly, and they're threatening with the to have riots and stealing from the stores. You know, it, the typical suspects. You know who we're talking about. They are planning that big Walmart thing tomorrow. Um, no, today. It's today. So I got to get ready because I got to be there at 6:30. So I hope, like me, patriots are going to be at the Walmart guarding the doors. I mean, I don't know how many people are actually going to show up to this. It would not surprise me if it was millions of people across this country. Because as we know, we have 42 million people on welfare that receive SNAP benefits. 42 million. As I mentioned on the last episode, that had essentially doubled from the 2020 numbers. So in the last 5 years, it's essentially doubled the amount of people that receive SNAP. So I think I, th- I and for their I think that the Democrats hope that people do riot and start stealing food and whatever else, because they're not going to just be stealing food, right? And So my thing is, I think that the Democrats would love for that to happen, and I don't understand why. Other than they are so out of touch with where they stand with American voters today and the majority of people in this country. I don't. It's like they can't comprehend. They are the most unself-aware people I've ever met or seen in my life. It's like, do you not get that nobody likes you? Nobody wants to listen to you? Everyone is blaming you for everything that's wrong in this country right now. Do you not get that? Because I don't know if you're just being willfully ignorant or you're just that stupid that you just that you're just so entitled that your mind can't comprehend that somebody might not appreciate what you're doing. Because there's a lot of people that don't appreciate what you as a Democrat are doing. And I don't understand why there's not more people. I mean, there's a lot of people leaving the Democratic Party. That's that's fact. That's not in question. But I would hope that it would be a lot more than what it is. And I think that that just is showing me that we have there's an awful lot of people out there in our country that just have no common decency. Um, they only care about themselves. They they pretend to care about minorities. The only thing they care about the only reason minorities ever cross their mind, it's for black people, it's so that they can keep them enslaved to the Democratic Party to continue voting for them, even though they do absolutely nothing in return for the black community. Zilch, zero, nothing. And for the illegal aliens, it's for votes. And I don't want to hear any of this. Illegals aren't voting. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. They found voter registrations with illegal names on them for all over the country. And why, if the Democrats weren't setting them up to vote, why in the hell was the Biden administration giving them social security numbers? They were producing and handing them social security numbers instead of an alien ID number, which is what you would normally do. But they weren't. They were giving them actual social security numbers. And you can't tell me that wasn't for a reason. I mean, why would you just all of a sudden start doing that? When it's been one way for years and years and years, and then all of a sudden, hey, we need to get more voters for the Democratic Party, so let's bring over 20 million people and hand them out a social security card, social security number. Give them give them a way to get enrolled on these voter registrations, and then threaten states if they don't want them on their voter registrations and don't let them on their voter registrations. I guess it was a good plan, I guess, because it worked for a little while. Um, it didn't help them in the election, which is good. So anyway, I digress. Back to these SNAP benefits. I got off on a tangent there, as I'm prone to do. So as far as these SNAP benefits being paid, this is Judge John McConnell and Judge Indira Talwani, I guess is how you say her name. And these are the two judges that ruled that the Trump administration must use the reserves to pay for SNAP benefits. That at least, I think they said at least one fund needs to be used for that. However, it that it there it's not legal to do that. It's just not. Um, the way that works is they can't use that money because it's unallocated by Congress. It would simply be against the law to do it. And I'm wondering, it makes me wonder with these judges, if do you not have to study how our government works and what separation of powers means? Do you not have to study that today to become a judge or a lawyer? I'm just curious because it seems like you don't have to. But we all know these are activist judges, correct? Because this has been that issue as far as reserves being used to pay for things that are unallocated by Congress has gone, it's been put up in court numerous times, and it's always been upheld by state and federal law that's been interpreted that the the president is not allowed to spend funds that have not been allocated by Congress. Oh, the only way that they could do that was to supplement something that had already been allocated, but nothing has been allocated because the Democrats haven't opened the government, so nothing has been allocated. So that money is essentially dead in the water until the government opens up because Congress isn't allocating money to a new budget, and that has been it's gone through court, state and federal, and it's all that law has always been interpreted the same way until now. And these judges, I mean, they're just trying to, cover the ass of the Democrats because everybody knows that the Democrats are losing this hard, losing it hard, 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 hard. So that brings us back to these two idiots. You know them, you love them, Schumer and Jeffries. These have to be the two dumbest men on the face of God's planet. They are doubling down on this, even though they've lost and they don't know when to cut their losses. Because essentially, they've just been digging themselves deeper and deeper and deeper into the pile of horse shit that they started and is they're doing. All they had to do was pass a clean CR that they had done numerous times before this. The same, it's the same CR, the exact same one that they voted for back in May and in March. They voted for the same thing. But what they thought was, well, we can get this 1.3 trillion through because what it will do, because an election's coming up, several elections are coming up this week actually, and they thought that, hey, if we put out there that this is what we're for and this is what we're fighting for, and we make it sound like we're trying to give the American people, free health care, then we're going to look like the good guys. But what they didn't realize is that that narrative is kind of lost on people now because I think the Trump administration and the Republicans did such a good job of actually explaining to people, to the citizens of America, that what they were really trying to do and what they were pushing for, and the fact that they were trying to give illegals free health care, which some they were getting anyway, um, before Trump put a stop to it. But so I think that they lost the narrative from the start because the Trump administration was so good about and explained it in layman's terms as to what the Democrats were actually trying to do. And I think that that's what people believed because that's the truth. And when the Democrats, because they kept saying over and over again, because this all first started about health care, right? Health care for illegals. We didn't want that. The Democrats were trying to do that. So we are blaming the Democrats for keeping the government closed because it's their fault. They didn't win the narrative at the beginning of this. And instead of realizing that and cutting their losses and say, well, we can just negotiate this after the CR is passed. Instead of doing that, they doubled down, tripled down, quadrupled down on their narrative that is lost on the public. Their narrative is dead in the water. Nobody cares. Nobody believes them. And they're essentially doing this for nothing. Now, in their heads, they don't believe that because, they for some reason they just think that everybody is just supposed to believe everything they say and that what they say is how it's supposed to be. That's the attitude they have. But that's not the way it is anymore because basically the whole Democratic Party, not just politicians, but these lunatics that have really taken over the Democratic Party, and people like Schumer and Jeffries have allowed that to happen. Um, they've shown that they're not good people. They don't tell the truth. They're violent. You can't even have like an actual conversation with a liberal anymore. You can't sit down with a liberal. Now, I'm not saying every liberal, so don't come at me, but the majority, and you all know exactly the type I'm talking about. You cannot sit down with them and have an actual conversation about anything. And the reason you can't do that, and the reason that they refuse to sit down and debate with facts with you, is because they don't know what they're talking about. They can't back up anything they say with any facts, or they don't have any arguments. They just say Trump is racist. Okay, well, give me an example of Trump being racist. Just throw something out there. There's got to be one example since you're so adamant that he's a racist. And they just look at you and then they'll go, well, he's a Nazi. So you try again. Okay, can you give me an example of something he's done that makes you think he's a Nazi? Well, he's a fascist. Okay, that's your opinion. But can you give me an example of anything that he's done that, supports your opinion of Trump being a fascist? And then by that time, you've lost them and they just walk off and call you a bunch of names. And that's their play. It's name calling. It's like all they're capable of anymore. They're not capable of discussion. They're not capable of debate. They're not capable of, trying to find out anything about anything on their own. They just listen to what this person on this side of them tells them, and this person on this side of them tells them, and this disinformation gets passed around all these groups of Democrats until it becomes kind of their truth, even though it's totally false. Because so many people keep saying it over and over, it brainwashes these tiny little brains to begin with. They have tiny little brains to begin with, but it is easy to manipulate. It's easy to manipulate these people. And then you've got the old guard, the boomers, the boomer Democrats who have been spouting this crap forever. Um, to anybody that will listen. They've gotten pulled into this because it's bringing them back to their glory days when we used to protest. We were fighting the system. Whatever. You didn't do anything it didn't do anything productive. Your protest did not actually end any war at all. It did not. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you have completely done nothing with your life. Um, you haven't changed anything by going out there and protesting, other than the one thing you have done is show the rest of the world, the rest of the country, who you really are. And we don't like it. We don't like who the Democratic Party really is. There's 77, at least 77 million of us that just don't, we don't like you. You're terrible human beings. And that's just a fact. You attack police officers. You attack people for no reason. Just somebody that you think doesn't share the same opinion as you. You just slap hats off of people. What is that? You slap hats off people and then complain when somebody turns violent against you. You provoke people and then turn around and try to play victim. And everybody's caught on to that. You're and nobody believes you anymore. Nobody sees you as the victim in this at all. Whether you're Antifa, whether you're a protester, whether you're both, whether you're, somebody, a keyboard warrior on Facebook, if that's who you are. Nobody believes anything you say anymore. Nobody takes you seriously. We just don't. But anyway, I got off on a tangent there. But so these two idiots, because they have these big egos and can't admit that, hey, we've lost this, they want to continue this shutdown. And even with the court ruling, our very fine president, President Donald J. Trump, he tweeted that he acknowledged that his lawyers didn't think that it was legal for him to actually disperse this money, because it's not. He's right. His lawyers are right. But he wants to do it. He's trying to figure out if there's any way it's legal, because, he's like, I'll be happy to pay this out, but I'm not breaking the law to do it. And, that's our president, who we love and adore. And then what was funny, he put Chuck Schumer's number down there for you to call him. Crying Schumer's office number. Just tell Schumer to end the damn shutdown, right? Just get it over with. Your charade is up. You're done. This has gone on long. This has gone on long enough. Your little hissy fit has gone on long enough. Let's just end it now. And I mean, the fact that 5 fucking Democrats can't get off their high horse and say, okay, this is ridiculous and gone on long enough. It just blows my mind that we can't find 5 decent people. 5. That is such a low number of the people, of the Democrats in the Senate. It's such a low number. And we still can't accomplish it. It's crazy to me. So our buddy Teddy Cruz, he was on Fox News yesterday morning, and he mentioned something, and I think he's absolutely right about it. He was asked about when he thought this shutdown would end, and he very clearly believes that it will end either Wednesday or Thursday. And I happen to agree with him, because elections are Tuesday. They don't want to be seen. They don't want to give in until after the elections. But I think after Tuesday they will. I agree with Ted Cruz. For it to be so close to the election and them to just give up now, in their minds they see that as a negative. Um, to me, I would think, well, our party is just not. If I was a candidate, I wouldn't want this on my on my head, right? Your party is keeping our government shut down. Everybody knows it. Everybody believes it. They see how crazy your party is anyway. But in their minds, it would hurt their chances at the polls if they were to end this shutdown before the elections. It's just another example of their total, complete insanity and having no idea of what is actually going on around them because they're crazy. But so I'm thinking that Wednesday or Thursday, maybe Friday. But it will be soon after the elections. Um, it just has to be. I mean, I don't know where they go from here. I already don't know where they go from here. But if they keep going with this even after the elections, they are just. I think their approval rating right now is at like 16% as it is. That is 16% in the whole country. 16% of people have a favorable view of the Democratic Party. And I don't know if anybody has told Schumer and Jeffries this. It seems like they're clueless about this. Like they don't know. But I think someone should fill them in. I think someone should tell them, "Hey, nobody thinks you're doing a good job. No one." But I think I'm with Cruz. I think it ends this week. Now, while he was on that show yesterday, he said something. He started talk. He was asked about the Arctic frost investigation and what's going on with it, and this is what he said.
When you have the Biden Department of Justice subpoenaing 20% of the Republicans in the Senate, it is an egregious abuse of process. It is a fishing expedition. And we need to have a full and thorough investigation and accountability for every executive branch official that signed off on weaponizing the government. And I believe that the House of Representatives should impeach Judge Boasberg. Judge Boasberg was the one who made findings that he had no basis for. And when he did that, he took off his judicial robe. He just became a partisan crusader. He joined with Jack Smith in the mission to try to stop Donald Trump from being reelected. Thankfully, the voters prevailed. Democracy prevailed. But I'll tell you what, if, God forbid, Kamala Harris had become president, we would never, ever, ever find out about this. They would have buried their abuse of power. And what's critical, this can never happen again.
So this whole thing with this Arctic frost investigation, and this Judge Boasberg, this idiot. What I want, I mean, everybody is saying, "Hey, we need arrests. We need people in jail. We need people in jail," and I could not agree more with that. Um, if somebody posts something, because we've been hearing about it, for a while now. Maybe not all of this that's been going on, but we knew, like with the Russian hoax, we heard about that, you know, way back, and we know who did it. There seems to be a pretty decent paper trail, um, which I don't get. I guess it's mostly emails and things that can't be deleted. But I mean, if it was me and I was doing these things that I knew were illegal, I wouldn't leave a paper trail. But we're lucky enough that Democrats are stupid. So, you know, that's good in this situation. And I know everybody's getting frustrated because nobody's getting arrested. And Pam Bondi, I like Pam Bondi. A lot of people are getting frustrated with her. But what I want to say on that is the people that are involved in this, especially the Russian hoax, because that goes all the way up to Obama, to Biden. Pam Bondi, before she makes a move on any of these high profile, powerful people in Washington, she has got to be damn certain that she has enough and that they will 100% be convicted. Because can you imagine what would happen if she went in with half of a case, pressed charges, indicted, arrested Obama or Biden, which she won't, nobody will arrest Biden because he's too far gone at this point. But say they arrested Obama and he was found not guilty. Can you imagine what that would do to upset the balance between Republicans and Democrats at this time? Can you imagine? I mean, we're already at each other's throats, right? Some of us more than others. Some of us are um, figuratively at people's throats, and some of us are literally. Others are literally at people's throats. But I'm just saying that these cases, they have to be rock solid. You can't go in half-assing this. You have to be damn sure that you have all of your ducks in a row. And I know people are getting frustrated because people aren't getting arrested. I am too. I am. But I was thinking the other day that I I think if we're patient enough, it'll pay off. And one reason that I think it's going to pay off is because Trump's on her ass every day about it, tweeting out things, you know, calling her out in public that, hey, when that whole basketball cheating scandal came um became public, he's like, hey, that's all well and good, but what about this Russian hoax? Nobody's been arrested on it. So I mean, he's been calling her out on this, and I know that people want this to just happen, but I also think that it can't happen without the certainty of the outcome being known, because you can't not know the outcome and do this. These scandals, this Russian hoax and this Arctic frost, these are probably the biggest scandals ever in our country's history. I mean, it's bigger than Watergate, and that took a sitting president down. And this is bigger than that. It's further reaching than that. And what's funny is, when Obama was actually in office, he did the exact same thing that Nixon did, as far as recording people without their knowledge. He did it. So why? I know there was more to what happened with Nixon, but now that we know what Obama has been up to, it's not any different. Nixon had to receive a pardon from Gerald Ford to avoid going to prison. And I know if Obama's arrested, Trump is damn sure not going to give him a pardon. But I believe that this needs to be settled definitely before Trump is out of office. This definitely doesn't need to go on that long. I would just give I would say that if in 6 months nobody's been arrested, then it's time to get really frustrated and really own Bondi's ass about this, because 6 months is a long time. You know about all this stuff. You've got the personnel to do this. I know you keep opening investigations on different things every day because different things keep coming up. And so I understand that, but we got to get the ball rolling. But we do need at the same time to remember that she has got to be certain that these people are going to prison before she jumps. You can't arrest Hillary Clinton without knowing damn sure that she's going to go to prison for what you're arresting her for. You just, you know that. I mean, I don't have to explain that to you. Um, and Bondi knows that. She is well aware that she can't arrest Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama or even, these low level FBI leaders who were actually, who oversaw the Arctic Frost mission. I mean, they're no longer there, but I feel they will all be arrested at some point. And, you got this Jack Smith idiot. He just looks like an idiot to me. And he was on a mission and he almost accomplished it. But like Cruz said, there's a lot of people out there that are smarter than Jack Smith. All of us here included included in that. We saw through the bullshit anyway. But I think we all knew that he was full of shit and that the Department of Justice was being used against Trump. We knew that. But I don't think that any of us really knew everything that was going on. I mean, they were they tapped they subpoenaed phone records for 8 sitting U.S. Republican senators. Why would you? And it was only Trump supporters. They wanted to know, who they were calling, who they were talking to, what they were saying. Why would you do that? If you weren't up to something really, really dirty, which we all now know that Jack Smith was. We knew it, but now we have confirmation. Let's put it that way. And then you've got this moron over here, this Judge Boselberger, or whatever his stupid name is. Boesberger, something like that anyway. If you remember, I think it was in like March of 2025, he issued a temporary restraining order to block deportations, all deportations. He's the one that also had ordered the plane carrying the Venezuelans to turn back around when it was already in the air. He then, of course, the Trump administration did not turn that plane around. And then the judge decided to issue or to hold those Trump administrators in contempt of court because they didn't follow his orders. Orders that had no actual legal basis in them. The ruling was overturned. All of the rulings that he has made that are where he's trying to hinder Trump have been overturned. And I'm not talking about even going to the Supreme Court. I mean, like in the circuit courts, these rulings are being overturned because there's no legal basis for them, and it continues to happen. With the EBT rulings, it's like I don't understand. It's like these judges, they don't. We all know, like I said, we know the Democratic Party's full of shit. We know there's no legal basis for these rulings. Hey, judges, we're on to you. You keep getting overturned. Your decisions are not valid. There's no legal basis for them. It just makes you look stupid because everybody knows that it's going to get overturned anyway. It just makes me so mad because it's like we know what you're doing. Why do you keep doing it? It's just crazy to me. How you just keep doing the same thing over and over again. knowing that it's not working. So this judge was part of Arctic frost. So it's not like, oh, Trump was elected, so this judge didn't like that, so he started making rulings against Trump. This guy was implicit in all of this from the very beginning. You know, it's no coincidence that when that lawsuit was filed, it was given to Judge Boasberg. That's not a coincidence at all. And it's not a coincidence that he just so happened to rule against Trump. That's not a coincidence. So, what I'm trying to say is there were a lot of people involved in this. A lot of people that broke the law. I mean, 197 subpoenas to Republican members of the House. That's almost 200 subpoenas. And guess who was signing off on every one of those subpoenas? Guess who it was? You got it, Judge Boasberg. None of this has been coincidence. I think that's where I'm going to stop for tonight. I am going to mention that ABC announced that MTG is going to be on The View. I think she's filming it Monday, but it's going to be aired Tuesday. And we know that old she speaks her mind, which I like. She's the one that first started pushing for this nuclear option that I talked about on the last episode. And I will say that Trump is kind of wearing me down on my stance on that, because he tweeted that the Democrats are going to do away with the filibuster as soon as they're in the majority again. Which, the way things are going, that won't be anytime soon. But the point is, they could go ahead now and do this nuclear option and just pass everything that Trump wants to do. He could get everything done because more than likely the Democrats were going to throw the nuclear option in the first day they're in the majority again. Because it's been done before. It's been done before and put back in. So, it's possible to put it back, but after it's been blown. But I think he's right. I think with the way things are right now, he's probably right that the Democrats would go for the nuclear option the first day they have the majority. So then they could still pass all their stupid bills and laws that they try to come up with in their stupid minds. So I've been thinking about it the last few days, or last day or so, since I last recorded, and maybe it is the way to go. I don't like it. I don't like having to go and do that. I think it's going to be resolved in the next few days anyway. So, but I will concede that it would be nice just to roll everything Trump wants to do, just roll it through the Senate. I wouldn't complain. Um, so there is that. That's a positive, and due to the fact that the Democrats are probably going to do away with it anyway, I'm softening on it. I'm not 100% convinced, but I am softening on it. But we all know that MTG was the first one to say that out loud. Like 2 days after the government. She may have waited a week, but I know it was not long after the shutdown started. She was screaming for the Senate to throw this nuclear option on the table, and just get this done, open the government, and go on with our lives. Um, but she's going to be on the View. She's very outspoken. I'm going to say this, and I hope I'm proven wrong. I hope I am, but it's being like advertised and phrased that, and I don't remember the exact words, but it's the way it's being promoted. Let me put it that way. Is that, hey, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who has recently been going rogue in the Republican Party, insinuating that she's been speaking ill of the party. She has come out in the last month talking mainly about the nuclear option. She said a couple of other things that um, you could take it as she doesn't agree with this administration. I don't think that's true, but I think it's setting up this interview to be non confrontational. And I think the angle they're going to go on this is they are going to point out everything that she said that she disagrees with. And that's the route they're going to go. And they're going to try to make it look like Marjorie Taylor Greene agrees with the people on The View. Which I don't think her opinions are anywhere in the vicinity of anybody on The View. But I don't think it's going to be the showdown that everybody thinks it is. It's going to be, because you've got these outspoken ladies who know absolutely nothing about what they're talking about, and then you've got MTG that you know it doesn't mind being confrontational. Let's put it that way. And I think that we're all hoping, because we've been waiting for somebody to go off on these bitches, right? That's what we as MAGA has been waiting for, is for somebody to put these bitches in their place. Now, if Marjorie comes out swinging and she's kind of on to what they're trying to do, that's going to happen. She is going to lay into them. That's what I'm hoping happens, because you don't know how happy that would make me. But I don't think that they are going to enter this as being confrontational toward her. Because just the other day they were commenting about how they wanted to try to have more conservatives, people that lean more conservatively on the show. And this is their first try at doing that. And I just don't, I hope and pray that it is the knockdown drag out that we're all hoping for. That's what we all, I promise you, when you heard this, that was what you were hoping for. I think the way they're going to come into this and approach her as interviewers, I think that they've probably been told how this is going to go down, that how this needs to go down. I don't think that Marjorie's been told how this needs to go down, but I think that their approach toward her is going to be more on the side of, we've heard you say this, and we agree with that. We wish Trump would throw this nuclear option on the table. We wish the Senate would go through with it. That's what they're going to do, because it's a win-win for them, because either way, whether it's done or not, they can still blame Trump for the because what they would do is, if the nuclear option was done, the narrative on that would be, well, what took him so long? Why did he keep the government closed so long? Which is another reason that I'm not sure we should do the nuclear option. That's another part of it, but that would be the narrative. Well, why did he take so long? He kept us shut down for over a month. He took our food away when he could have just ended all this immediately. So that's what. So and that's probably how the ladies of the View. I call them ladies, but I don't usually call them ladies. I usually call them bitches. I don't know why I said ladies. I guess I was trying to be more respectful. But anyway, I think that they can see in their head, they can that's how they can turn it. So if she comes in there talking about this nuclear option, they can be like, "Yeah, that probably makes more sense." And they can justify agreeing with that in their head by saying, "Hey, this should have been done a long time ago when you first brought it up." And then, you know, they've got her then. And I know she's much smarter than that to be manipulated like that, but that's where this conversation is going to go. That's probably what the majority of the interview is going to be about. Um, and they're going to frame it in that way. So I'm not. I'm hoping that it's a knockdown drag out, but I don't see that happening. Um, I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. Because I would love to see it. I would love to see Marjorie Taylor Greene just blow those bitches out of the water. I would love it. There's nothing. I don't know that there's anything that would make me happier than that. But I don't know that that's going to happen. I'm cautiously optimistic. Let's put it that way. I'm not going to get my hopes up that that's going to actually happen. So I'm just going to hope that it happens. Um, so I just wanted to bring that up in case you actually wanted to watch it. I don't know if you do or not. I probably won't because I kind of pride myself that I've never actually seen an episode of The View. I'm really proud of that for myself. So I don't know if I want to dive into it this week. But anyway, so I guess I'm gonna end it there tonight. Um, I could say a lot more. I could sit here and talk all night, but I don't think that I need to do that. Has to end sometime. All right, but I probably will be back. I'm trying, like I said last episode, that I am trying to do this maybe 3 times a week, at least once a week, and hopefully up to 3 times a week because news moves fast, right? So I'm gonna sign off, but you know, stay MAGA out there, people. All right, I'll see you on the next episode.
This has been a presentation of Way More Entertainment.